What's up everybody? This is Cheap Ass Statue Collector here, and today I've got a really cool diorama. This is the Superman vs. Doomsday statue by Iron Studios. It's 1/6, it's huge, it's massively heavy, and it's really cool. So I want to go ahead and be serious with you guys, and I want to go ahead and break down what I do and what I don't like about this statue. So without further ado, let's kick off the review. So the first thing, you guys, that I want to talk about is the pose. So let's talk about what I don't like about the pose first. That way I don't forget about it. So what I have gripes with the statue and its pose is the assembly, right? So the pose itself is freaking awesome, but Superman does lean on Doomsday, and it's definitely a balancing act, to place these guys together, because they both fit into the ground, and you have to move them kind of a little bit while they're still in the pegs, and it's kind of difficult. And the base has a few little pieces as well that have to stick into holes, and nothing is really marked, and you really have no idea how to set it up at first. But I think I got it done as best I can. But again, those are the big gripes that I have about the pose and the overall togetherness of the piece. So with that said, I want to go ahead and talk about the things that I do like about this pose. So right off the bat, you guys, this pose and this statue has so much presence, not only because of its size and how big Doomsday is, but because of what they actually captured in this diorama. So dioramas are about either capturing, the moment in a book, or about telling a story about two characters. And usually with DC and Marvel dioramas, the story is about battles, right? So it's about capturing this epic battle between Superman and Doomsday. And what this reminds me of the most of is the video game Injustice. In the video game Injustice, you can do a clash where both characters run at each other, and right before they clash, the game freezes, and you have to spend some type of build-up that you've built up, and a meter that you've built up, and you have to spend it, and then whoever spends the most wins, or they tie and they finish the clash. And so what this statue did, what they did with the statue in this pose, is this is that clash between Doomsday and Superman, and it's basically frozen right there, right before they actually hit. You know what I mean? And Superman's got his arm out, and he's got his fist back, he's ready to clock him, and Doomsday's just like a monster about to eat it, bro. So I'm telling you, this thing is crazy when you see it up in person. I have a little short story for you guys. My wife brought over her friends, and she makes fun of me for getting all this stuff, but she had to come in here and turn on the lights. And this is one of the first things I asked them, what did they look at first? What did they go to first? And this was the first thing that they looked at, mainly because of Doomsday and how crazy he looks. And they already recognized who Superman was, but they were kind of just attracted by this battle that was going on. And then the second thing they looked at was the sideshow premium format Joker. The face was ridiculous, and they said it really scared them. So this piece, for a diorama fan, for someone that likes action poses in their statues, this piece is fantastic when it comes to the pose. The second thing that I want to go ahead and talk about is the paint. Now, let's talk about the negatives first. The paint apps on the base could have been better. The globe could have been better. I know it's supposed to be a little bit more destroyed. And what I mean by that is, if you just pick a few inches to look at right here in the dirt, there's only a few paint colors in it, right? A little bit of brown, a little bit of tan, a little bit of gray, and that's throughout the statue. And I know this is supposed to be a building. The building came down, the Daily Planet came down, everything's rubble, and it's supposed to be gray and brown. That is my negatives about the paint apps. Doomsday is really hard to get wrong, right? Basically, he's got green, gray, white, and off-white. You can't get that wrong. The green on his pants and his boots do have a lot of shading. They're not just one color. There's shading involved. On the bottom of his boots there is a brown residue on his boots from all the debris because he's been fighting, and it's done really nice, you guys. The spikes are crazy, so much detail on the spikes, and like I said, it's really hard to get the paint apps wrong with this guy. What I want to talk about in Superman is the blue really pops on this statue, and there's a little bit of shading going on too as well, especially where the muscle tones are and the muscle definitions are, as well as the red. There is a lot of different darker shadings on the red on the boots, and there's also a little bit of white dust from the debris and fighting through the Daily Planet. Now the paint apps on the face are really awesome. He definitely has an aftershave, definitely a different type of resin that they use for the face, which makes it look a little bit more squishy and a little bit more human tone-like. Came out really nice, you guys, especially when you put it in a display case with like a white light above it, and you get that shadow across his face because you get the white light hitting part of his face and you get that dark shadow. The resin actually looks really good under a light like that. The only complaint that I have is they didn't do the same thing with his fist. So his face and his fist, sometimes the color tones don't really match. That's not a deal breaker for me. I love this piece. I love all the decisions they did with the paint. I don't think they did anything wrong. So with that said, let's talk about the sculpt details. As I'm looking through it right now, you guys, I don't really have any problems with it at all. I really don't have a negative with any of the details and the sculpting that they did with this statue. Some would say Superman is kind of like jacked, definitely on steroids, you know what I mean? That's one of the first things that I thought when I saw Superman and I saw the pictures of the statue, so he looks a little bit too jacked. But when you look at the size of Doomsday, he actually fits in really well being that muscular. Doomsday is crazy detailed. All his he's got so many little cracks and crevices in the bones throughout his arm and his back. His hair on his head is actually either like a plastic or a soft resin. Plastic or rubber, because it does have give when you touch it. And the same goes with the little metal bars out of the base, throughout the base. And they're rubber and they've got give and you can move them around, and it's pretty cool. This just fell out. And like I said, this is what I was talking about with the pose and the assembly is this one, every other piece fits in well except for this one piece. I don't know where it goes. I found like a little nook here, and if you don't touch the statue it's fine. It looks actually really good there. But again, and it just fell on the floor. I don't care, we're not picking that up. So most people, what they're going to have issues with is the sculpt on Superman's face. They think he looks like Mark Ruffalo, the Hulk in the Iron Man movie, or not the Iron Man movie, in the Avengers movie. And I've seen the reference picture that they're talking about, and it's basically the facial feature. It's basically the facial expression that he's doing. When you look at a lot of the comics and you look at a lot of the illustrations of Superman and Batman by the artist that concepted this design, it actually matches what he draws and his style of Superman, and this is what he looks like to this artist. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't want all my Supermans to look a certain way, to look all the same. If you don't like the way he looks, that's fair. You don't have to like the way he looks. And I guarantee you, if you ask everyone that bought it, if you asked them, really, what do you think of the face, they're actually really surprised and they're really happy about it because there was a lot of hate on the face. Since we're on the face, there's so much little details in the face that you won't catch in a lot of the pictures that people are taking online because they're overexposing the face with too much brightness, and they're not doing it in the right lighting. There's tons of little wrinkles in his eyes and his nose and his forehead. Really cool looking, you guys, and it doesn't look flat. If you look at some statues, they just look flat. This definitely feels 3D. I don't know how a better way to explain this. I could show some pictures of the Superman PVC 1/6 Kotobukiya. And I want to show you guys another face sculpt from DC Direct. It's Superman versus Brainiac. It's Superman versus Brainiac. They did a really excellent job on the face sculpts, and they did a really kick-ass look for that Superman. I love the face sculpt on that piece. And then again, I'll show you guys a picture of the Superman PF face sculpt, and I'll show you, and you can compare it to the other pictures that I took of this Superman and his face sculpt. Now, with that said, the details are awesome. Sculpt details. There's nothing really that I can nitpick about it, because overall this thing is massive. It has presence. It's so crazy looking. It definitely tells the perfect setting and story for the fight of Superman versus Doomsday, and that's what you want in a versus, DC or Marvel piece. You want, if you're doing a diorama, you don't want just a flat base or no base, right? I've showed you guys that with the Catwoman versus Batgirl. There's no base at all, and that's super lacking. Like if you're doing a diorama, you need a base. You need an epic base. For example, the Namor versus Iron Man statue. That base sells the statue. Iron Man has done really well, and so has Namor, but the base is what tells the story. The base is what sells it all and what connects the two characters together. This base is huge, and it sets the setting for an epic battle and fight that happened between Doomsday and Superman. With that said, let's talk about the price. So there's 500 pieces of this statue. I think I've got $479, $473. And bear with me, guys, I'm losing my voice as we go on. But this statue isn't for everybody, especially because of the price. It's a little bit overpriced, in my opinion, but for me, someone that collects dioramas and someone that's a DC fan, I took a chance on this piece, and it turned out really well, and I love this piece. I have no regrets picking up this piece. But it is on the high side. I have seen this thing go over $950 on eBay. That's actual bids going on eBay. So it will sell for that price if you could find it. Right now, you could probably find a lot of little shops selling them on eBay, but they're going to be a little on the high side, probably over $1,000, because you have to pay that shipping, which definitely hurts, for sure. I feel like a lot more people would have picked this piece up for, if it was around the $500 mark. I feel like a lot of people would have easily picked this piece up and they wouldn't have complained much on the forums. But because they're asking such a high price, people want, you want a high detailed, you want a high quality statue. And this piece does deliver it, but I feel like it should have been cheaper. But then again, this piece is massive. This piece is 28 inches wide. This piece is over 20 inches deep. It's 17 inches tall up to Doomsday's hair. So you're getting a lot for your money. You could, technically get a Superman PF and maybe get another PF for the same price, right? And get two giant big statues, but you're not capturing this moment. And that's what I like the most about this piece, you guys. It's just so epic. I love battle pieces. I love versus pieces. You know what I mean? This is one of my favorite pieces that I have in my collection right now. I'm not doing my Green Lantern review yet because I wanted to do this one first. I'm so excited about this piece. In the next few weeks, I will be getting the Wolverine versus Hulk diorama from Sideshow, and I'm definitely going to be taking pictures, side-by-side comparisons of these guys together because they're kind of in the same size range. So I'm really excited to get that piece, and maybe even make that a companion piece with this piece until maybe something else comes out. Maybe the Batman versus Bane piece by Iron Studios that's coming out. With that said, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and do the overview next. You guys are going to see pictures and the video, 360 video and everything like that. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys watch it. Please remember to like and subscribe.